You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Come on, camera. That was set up. Welcome back to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about jiu-jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a brown belt who trains at Gracie Humaita, located in Merida. I know I was gonna butcher this. I'm gonna have him do it because I'm butchering this so bad. But it's located in California, ladies and gentlemen. Wes Schaeffer.
Oh, this is Talk Your Jits? I thought this was Talk Your Shit. I'm on the wrong show, man.
I usually don't butcher intros like that, but I'm like, today is like, you know what? Nope.
Dude, it took me probably 2 years to figure out how to say it.
Okay, so I don't feel bad. But yeah, man, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you again for coming on and being a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, not a problem. So let's give the people what they want. Go ahead and formally introduce yourself so we can get the pronunciation of these down, and let's hear about your jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah, so, Gracie Humaita, so it's with Humaita. So it's a neighborhood or like a small town, in Brazil. So we're under Hoyler Gracie. We're about an hour north of San Diego. So see him from time to time. My instructor is Ricardo Huimaris. Actually, it's Ricardo Huimaris, right? The R's are H's and the G's are W.
Something like that.
I know. So he was world champion in like 2018 for his age and in weight class. So good school, good lineage, and we're about, like I said, about an hour north of San Diego, and I've been training about 6.5 years.
Okay. So how did you? Well, I usually say how did you find jiu-jitsu, but how did jiu-jitsu find you?
Yeah, a buddy of mine, he just nagged the crap out of me for about 6 months, and I finally said, "I'll go try it if you'll shut up." And then I was hooked.
So you've been at this school your whole journey?
Yes.
Nice. So being under a Gracie school, how has that been? How's the experience been?
Well, I mean, it's all I've known. I have traveled extensively, and I've rolled in probably a dozen other schools around the world. Trained in Buenos Aires. That was cool. Trained all over the U.S. And it's always, I can always hold my own, so I feel like we're getting good training. But everybody's always cool, they're welcoming. I was just in Texas a few weeks ago and trained at Gracie Barra, and my instructor, he was under Gracie Barra for many years. So we follow the exact same structure. I didn't even realize that was the first time I trained at a Gracie Barra. So same warm-up routine. They did a little different structure. They had a 1-hour class in Texas where I attended, and then a little bit of sparring. It was more structured sparring, and then you could stay later and roll with whoever you wanted to. So we do 90-minute classes. I feel like that's a good length of time. You can warm up, practice several different moves, attacks, counters to the counters. Then you have plenty of time to spar as well.
Yeah. And you don't realize how long, like how quick, but yet how long those 90 minutes are.
Yeah, they go by, pretty quick. And it's tougher. I mean, I'm 53, so there's a lot of days I'm tired, but I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", almost 240. So everybody thinks they got to give it their all, and I'm like, hey, dude. Like you can slow your roll today. It's okay. I don't need to fight for my life every single roll.
I'm telling you, man.
I have very good defense. When about 2 years in, a guy jacked my elbow. I'm still kind of irritated because I was going easy on the guy. He was an older guy, much smaller. I did a knee on belly, but like I didn't put any weight on him, right? I mean, all my weight was on my foot. Just kind of had my knee on his belly. Just kind of had my hand on his shoulder, and he reached up and wrenched it, and it popped. To this day, I can't straighten it. And right after that, I did a stupid CrossFit little 15-minute exercise with this guy that was another guy nagging me, and I pinched something in my neck and my shoulder. So for a year, I could not push. I literally, like, my right side atrophied. I couldn't do a single push-up, couldn't frame. So I developed a bad habit that has become a good defense. So, if somebody's passing guard and I couldn't frame and I was still new, I turned my back to them. And obviously that's not ideal. And obviously you're framing, you're getting underhooks, you're hipping out, recovering guard, but I couldn't push. And so, and my left arm, that's typically we're right-handed, right? We're on our right side, we're underhooking with the left. Well, the left was super tender, so any kind of weird movement, it just hurt like crazy. So I couldn't underhook with my left. I couldn't frame with my right. So obviously I know better, and I don't do that. That's not my go-to anymore. But I developed a crazy good back defense. I mean, only the most elite guys will get me, and they don't get me every time. I spent a whole freaking year there. So it's not like I'm not recommending it, but if you do get an injury, there is a silver lining. You're going to develop some weird, approach to your game that'll mess people up. So, and the nice thing is too, like when I am tired, which is like every other day, and guys do want to go crazy, right? I can just kind of roll over, let them think they're doing something. They fight like crazy for grips. They'll go for a bow and arrow, whatever. And then I'll finally escape with like a minute left and then smash them and tap them. That's become my normal daily routine.
Yeah, but that's a unique thing about jiu-jitsu. I guess I don't really hear a lot of people talk about it, but just being able to adapt to the situation, because I cross-trained a couple times at a school not too far from me, and I'm not sure what his rank is, but he's an older guy and he has a messed up shoulder. And the first time we rode, he's like, I asked him, like, is there anything not to touch? He's like, yeah, my shoulder. But I noticed he can move his shoulder. And I think he caught me in an armbar or something. So I had to ask him, like, okay, dude, what's the extent of this arm? Because you're using it pretty well. But he's like, oh, I can take pressure. I can do this. I can do that. You just can't go this high. So I was like, all right, cool. And then, the road went different. But yeah, just being able to, I guess you want to say, like, nurture, nurture that wound or that injury to the point where you don't have to, you can still enjoy what you do want to do and not worry about it getting hurt.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, and it depends on the school to a degree as well, right? My school's very laid. But like, it's not an MMA school. We don't have crazy guys, and some of this too, I've heard, and it's changed. It has evolved over the years, because my professor is like 56 now, 57. I think he's 57. So he's gotten a little more chill. They said it was kind of brutal back in the day, a little bit of Mad Max, 2 men enter, 1 man leaves sort of approach. So it's not that now. And you know who the crazies are. And man, I don't think I heard one guy I was still a white belt. I managed a 4-stripe white belt. He was a new blue belt. It was no gi, and it was a weird kind of a bow and arrow I went after. It kind of hurt his rib. But I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. I think that's like literally the only person I've ever hurt at all. If somebody's hurt, that's like, a guy last week, he's a purple belt and fights well, and younger than me. Most are younger than me. And his shoulder was bad. And and he even mentioned, oh man, I don't want to be under you. So it's like, so we started and I pulled him to mount on top of me. Right? I'm like, I don't care.
Right.
And eventually in that role, he tapped me. And I'm like, I don't care. He's got a bag. He's a firefighter. He's a fire captain. I'm not going to hurt that guy.
Right.
Right. It's like, all right, a month from now, if you're healed up, we want to go hard. All right, we'll see if you tap me. But they're like, I don't care. I would feel much worse if I hurt somebody. I still feel bad 4 or 5 years later that I hurt Micah's rib. And it wasn't intentional, wasn't anything crazy. I had a black belt last year. I had him sprawled out, and I was attacking, trying to get just a straight arm bar from the top, and I kind of figured for his right arm with my legs, and he went to lift me and popped his bicep. But it's like I felt bad that he got injured, but it's like, okay, that wasn't me. I wasn't stretching him. He tried to lift me. Like I said, I'm a big guy. Don't lift 240 pounds with one arm over your head.
No, it's not recommended.
But it's like, if somebody's got any kind of nagging thing, and I train a lot. I train 6 days a week. So
almost there. Well, I'm about 4 to 5.
I can't go 100% every single sparring session 6 days a week.
Right.
So I do have very good defense because I spend a lot of time. I'll let guys get me in bad position. I'll let them get to mount, take my back, whatever. So, and it takes less energy for me to defend. Now, some guys, there's some big boys, right? I will not let them mount. So, because I can't get away. So it depends on their size, right? And no gi, I won't let you take my back because it's too easy to choke in no gi. At least for me, it's hard to defend. You're all slippery and get these little skinny dudes with their skinny little arms and fingers. Next thing I know, they're choking the crap out of me. So there's some variances there, but like in no gi, the thing I love with no gi, I feel like it's much easier to defend in general, right? And I think it's harder to submit. You don't have the grips. So I'll let somebody pull me in the guard in no-gi, and I've got a very good base. I can kind of pin guys down, catch my breath. It's those 165 pounders, that are doing gymnastic, acrobatic X Games, all over me. I'm like, okay, I'm dead. If I try to keep up with them, like I'm just trying to grab whatever I can, little toe, ankle, whatever. Give me something. I'm gonna pull your ear, get down on the ground, boy. Quit running around. Oh my gosh.
But that's the funny part about it, man. Like, you're in this sport that's constantly evolving, and it seems like everybody that walks in the door obviously are like getting younger and younger, more and more athletic, and they just so happen to all have wrestling backgrounds. Always.
Well,
always have wrestling backgrounds.
I'm like 30 or 40 minutes from Camp Pendleton, right? Like the largest Marine base. So I get these corn-fed boys, from Nebraska. They're 2 years in the Marines, chewing nails and, kissing napalm. And they want to come try jiu-jitsu. So, and again, I'm the big guy. So my professor, Wes, go roll that big corn-fed boy. And, but the cool thing is jiu-jitsu works. I hold my own just fine against these big young dudes. And, even the wrestlers, because until the wrestlers learn submissions, we have a bit of an advantage. I mean, and we start on our knees. So if I fight a wrestler, dude, I'm pulling guard. I mean, their takedowns are just next level. I can't compete. I don't even kid myself. So
Right.
I'll get to the ground quick and then rely on the different technique, And so since we're playing jiu-jitsu rules, then, we're okay against those guys. Once they learn submissions, then it's a long day.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we got a new guy. I think he wrestled like forever. And he also have a lot of like combat training under his belt. So when he came in, it was just like, oh God, dude, you're strong, you're big, and you're agile. Like he's like 40 something, but he moves like he's younger than anybody in the classroom. So that the first time me and him rode, he called me an Americana. So I was like, okay, I obviously see what we gotta do here.
Yeah.
So we rode again, and I'm like, you know what? There's no clock, so we're just gonna ride this out. I think we rode for a good about 10, 15 minutes, and he was on top. He was moving, he was everything else, and I was like, dude, I need you to wind. Like, I need you to just start sucking air. But as soon as I felt it, I was like, okay, his weight shifted, and I heard that. I was like, thank God, dude, I can get from under here now.
Hell yeah.
Got the sweep and got the finish, man. But man, it's crazy now thinking about that, where you once was that sporadic person trying to maintain position, and this person is under you. Is like, man, you're doing all this stuff. They're not flinching, they're not moving, they're just calm and chill. Now it's the other side of the coin where I can be rolling with anybody, and I'm in the midst of like being smashed, but I'm still teaching class and fixing other people's stuff, and they're looking at me like, really? I'm like, dude, we're good. I don't need my eyes to do jiu-jitsu. I can watch everything is going on and still be right here.
Yep. I know.
Fun,
I always laugh because like my professor, he'll be smashing the crap out of you. Somebody walks in and he's just talking, looking up. I'm like, can you at least act like I'm putting up a fight?
Like, can you not beat up my ego so bad?
Oh,
please,
man.
please and thank you.
I mean, that's one thing I'm proud of. I mean, he's like 4 years older than me. I outweigh him by like at least 70 pounds. So at least now, like I've never tapped him. I've only passed his guard, I think, once. But it's
that's an accomplishment within itself.
Yeah, and that was like almost 2 years ago. It's like I haven't done it since, and so like I'm proud that like he won't tap me on every single roll. He used to tap me 10 times, and so it's like, okay, he doesn't tap me, then that's a good roll for me against him. But I mean, picture that, right? He's 4 years older, and I got at least 70 pounds, and I'm still fighting with everything I have to not get tapped. I mean, imagine if we were the same size, he'd still be just wrecking me. So it's just, I mean, that's the power of jiu-jitsu, man.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. It's all about technique. It's not about strength or size, because once that goes out the window, you ain't got nothing left but technique.
Yeah, for sure.
If that's not there, then you're dead for sure.
Yep. Amen.
Because even like my instructor, he's a bigger guy. He's like 6 something. I think he's about 300, I think.
Oh my God.
But man, he can move. He can move.
Yeah.
He can carry his weight.
Yeah.
And that is so dangerous. So dangerous.
People have no idea. It's like I had no idea. I was almost 47 when I started jiu-jitsu. And I haven't been in a fight since I had to use jiu-jitsu 2 years ago at a 4th of July party. Took a guy down twice. But when I started jiu-jitsu, I mean, I hadn't been in a fight since I was like 21, 22 maybe in the military. And to think, it's like, okay, I thank God every day that I'm not a hothead, right? Because walking around Southern California especially, because that's where it all started. These guys moved to Torrance. It's about 90 minutes from here in Southern California. So Dan Henderson's gym is here in town. So, I mean, we're surrounded by stone cold killers that you would like dudes with dad bods, right, that you would never suspect. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, if I mouthed off thinking, oh, I'm the biggest guy in the room, I'm good. And then thinking some little 165-pound dude would have wiped the floor with me. It's like, so I can't, like 300-pound dude walking around with skills. Oh my gosh. I mean,
Yeah,
he could probably kill 10 people, you know?
man. And he was a cop too, so
Oh, yeah.
it's just bad all the way around, man. It's
It's
just so
like,
bad all the way around.
it's like, oh, you want my seat? Here, let me dust it off for you. Can I get you a soda?
Because I think one of the like the last times me and him like really really had a hard roll, um, like it's still unbelievable to this day, where it's like I've been training under this guy for like 6 years. My game is basically almost a split image of his, and there's still so much that I'm missing. Like I'm usually like the uki when it comes to like technique. So I know all this, like I know all this stuff. I know how all this stuff feels. I can kind of like sense it from a mile away now. But it seems like rolling with him, it's like no matter what, it always seemed like I'm like 50 steps behind every single time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a big black belt. I think he's got his first degree black belt. And but he's a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything with him. He'll still tap me in 20 seconds sometimes. So just having the skill and that size, it's still frustrating. You know, I tell him, like, I don't expect to win. I just don't expect to lose so fast. Like, damn.
Oh, so give me a minute, man, at least.
Goodness gracious. Every now and then, like I'll fight him, and I've had some rounds where he hasn't tapped me, and you know he's very complimentary, and but I feel good if I don't tap, and he doesn't hold back anymore, and because he told me I've trained with him a whole bunch because he was a big guy. I'd pick him out, you know, from day one. It's like I want to learn from another big guy.
Yeah.
And so we've sparred a lot, drilled a lot, and he's very technical. He's given me a big jiu-jitsu book. He sends me links. So very technical despite being big. And, you know, he would tell me, hey, I'm just using 10%. He's like, hey, I'm doing 20%. Hey, that was 50%. He's like, I'm not holding back anymore. I'm like, okay. You know, so, and as you train more, you realize that too, right? It's like some guys, it's like, I don't tap a lot of people. I'll let them work. And then I get out of a bad spot, let them work again. Let them get close, get out, you know? Yeah. And I try not to just smash everybody, especially little guys. I'm not smashing smaller people, you know, unless they just have an attitude and they just need it adjusted. I try not to smash littler people. I try to work on my technique, you know, work on my X guard, work on single X, whatever, perfect my De La Riva. So, but yeah, I mean, some guys, as they get better, it's like, oh, you know, I'm not letting him get grips because I'll let everybody get your grips, whatever. I'll work out of it. But, you know, at some point, everybody gets to that point. It's like, I'll let you get one grip, not two. You know?
Oh yeah, man. I'm like that too. Like I'm not that person that wants to go for the kill every single time. Not saying that I can just just mop the floor with everybody, but I like the intensity. I like the work. I like to just to see where everyone's head at, because if I go in there as an upper belt and just start just tapping and wrecking everybody, it's not helping me and damn sure not helping them. So yeah, like you said, there's even times where one of my training partners, he does me the same way. He's a 4-stripe brown belt, and there's be times where I'll blank out. He's like, "Oh, watch what you're doing. Fix this, fix that." And we do that to everybody else. Like we roll. I'm like, "Hey, I'm going at your speed. You want to go 10? We go 10. If you want to do 100, We
That's
can do
that's what I
100.
tell. Yeah, I tell guys, say, prison rules today. Okay. I'm
Because we
like,
got a guy.
I'm here for
He
you, my
just
brother. It's on
right.
now.
It's on now. But we got a guy that's like that. Like we'll start a tech. We'll be repping something, and then you can start to feel him start to pick up. So like, oh, we're going. All right. I guess we're going now, and then it turns into a full out fight. So.
Well, and some guys I just know they only have two speeds. It's on or off. So
Right.
I'll start out hard with them, but that's not the norm. That's not most guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll match their intensity gladly.
For real, because I'll be looking like, please, let's not let this not be 100% day. Let's make this a 10% day. We all got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's not. But Sundays open mat. No, that's all. It's just 100 from the gate.
Well, I'm looking forward. I'm changing some things. I'm changing my diet, changing my sleep. Like I'm back in the gym, so I'm gonna start ratcheting it up a little bit, and it's probably gonna surprise some people.
Mm-hmm.
But like everything, I remember years ago, it's like my open guard just sucked. I mean, I just didn't have one. So I was like, okay, for 2 months, all I did was open guard.
Mm-hmm.
I was a blue belt, and I sucked and got passed and got smashed, and I would reset and go back to open, and then I got decent at it. Definitely improved. I'm no expert, but it's a lot better. And so, you find things, you got to take those weaknesses and fill them in. It doesn't have to become your absolute strength, but
Right.
you can't keep it at 10%. You got to work on the weak parts. And again, you can't worry, a blue belt tapped me. It's like, if I'm working on things, like, I don't care. Every now, like,
Right.
I've had some guys kind of get chipper, I'm working on stuff. They score some points, or you can get a submission, and they kind of have an attitude. So I won't say anything. I'll just go full speed, and then it's like, okay, for that guy, all right, I wouldn't do open guard. I would just attack, smash, submit, and then go back to my game. Just kind of like the kind of unspoken, like dudes know when they got it put on them. Like, we know.
Yeah.
And so just leave it at that. And I used to feel bad about wrecking new guys, but then at least, especially on a trial, and I realize it's like we're hurting the school and we're hurting the art if we let a newbie think that they can hold their own against an experienced person.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, I wouldn't wreck them, like hurt them, but when a big guy comes in, big Marine, whatever, I won't let them work in the beginning. I'll try to tap them in like 15 seconds, and let them go, oh, wow. So once that happens, okay, now we can work. I need them to recognize, because when you're new, you don't know that. You think, hey, I'm Billy Badass. I just beat this brown belt. And it's not good for them either, because they're going to walk around with a chip on their shoulders. I got freaking humbled on my first day in jiu-jitsu. And, being a big guy, it's like, I can hold my own. And, dude, I was destroyed 8 ways to Sunday. And I'm like, what is this voodoo? It's like,
so what is this witchcraft that you're doing right now?
That guy I was talking about that hurt my arm, he's 72 years old, 73 years old now. And, I started, he was 63, and small guy, 160 pounds. And we did a guard drill, and I was in his guard, and I couldn't get away. I'm like, why can't I get away from this 63-year-old dude?
Right.
That I outweigh by 80 pounds. Like, what is this? I remember later on, I was, I don't know, 3 or 4 stripe white belt and this 1 stripe black belt. He was about my age, and tall, lanky guy. He's a swimmer. He works like he's like a professional lifeguard, I think, for like the state of California. Just retired. It was like something crazy. He takes a ferry out to Catalina Island. He works out. That was his job. I'm like, okay, I want that job. But he said, yeah, today, like, I won't use my hands. It was a Sunday. We don't really do an open mat, but sometimes it'll just be a little more casual class. And so he was teaching the class. It was a small class. And he says, I won't use my hands. I said, what the hell do you mean you're not going to use your hands? He tucked his hands in his belt and freaking triangle me with no hands. I'm like, okay, what is this voodoo? I mean, so again, it was like, I didn't expect to beat the guy, but I'm like, at that point, I've been training for maybe a year. And I'm like, how'd that happen?
Right.
I don't expect to win, but I don't expect to lose to a guy with no hands. Damn.
Man, I think
the
first time I ever,
what is this voodoo?
Like the first time I ever did jiu-jitsu, we was at one of our affiliate schools, and the one guy I rode with, he was a lot older than me. He was a blue belt, I believe, and I think I think I had a good solid 80 pounds over him. I'm like, man, I'm about to cream this old dude. Like, I gotta, I played football, I know a little wrestling, blah blah blah. Man, for like that whole 4 minutes, dude, I was dead in the water the whole entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking like, dog, come on. There's no way. There is no way.
I've finally realized like some of the stuff that I'm doing, because after all this time, I've got good reaction. I can't break everything down mentally, like to train it, but I'm like, well, do it. Let me see what I do. But I do realize how much misdirection that we do. I think we really should train like that. Is it Wing Chun? Where you see them, hitting the boards at the post, because it is like new people. You see all the time, they'll break a grip and they'll throw it away. Mm-hmm. I'm like, don't throw it away. You got the grip. Break the grip. Now own that grip, right? Yeah. Pull them to the side, take the back, something like that. But a big guy, like maybe maybe he grabs my arm, and I realize like toe to toe, I can't fight him pound for pound. But as they push, like I notice how I'll just redirect my own arm, and it gets them off balance. They don't expect it. They expect to go push straight ahead. Now they're pushed to the side. Now they stumble. Mm-hmm. Now I can jump in for a deep half or jump up for a triangle or something, because they're not expecting it. So that redirection of their energy, if people can master that, really that's all jiu-jitsu is, right? Using the guy's energy against them, for a throw, for a sweep, pulling an arm across center. So now their center of gravity is off. They can't post. Get up under them. The biggest guy is going to roll. If you get up under them, take away their post, they have to roll. It's just physics. Yeah. So, recognizing those fundamentals, it'll change your game.
Yeah, and that's one of our core rules of our school. Wherever your opponent go, you make them go. So using that misdirection, using that momentum that they're, coming forward or pulling, like we move with it. Just take advantage of what they're giving you. Yeah.
And I'm always trying. It's like he wants me to go this way. And like I know, pulling. What happens if I go that way? What happens if I go that way quickly? Mm-hmm. When they don't expect it? Like you do an arm drag, step through, and put the arm drag back on them. Like, oh crap. Because you always see, like when somebody's in a car wreck, like the drunk is the one that always lives, because they're so relaxed and they're not fighting that immovable force. Yeah. So can that guy pull me? Can I stay relaxed in that moment, go with it, and somehow roll, somehow invert? Because they're expecting a certain amount of resistance so they can finish that attack. And you go with it, and it wrecks guys. But learning how to stay calm in that chaotic moment, it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah. Gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
As we always say.
Amen.
So Wes, do you compete or you competed before?
Just some in-house tournaments. Like I said, I'm
Mm-hmm.
53 now. I got 7 kids. Just had my first grandson. Got another one on the way.
Oh, congratulations.
Uh, so thank you. Um, I just signed up earlier this year. Got my IBJJF card. Man, it's just so much going on, and I hate sitting around, at a tournament waiting.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I had the perfect plan, and COVID hit. I was it was like, okay, I was going to be. I just turned 50, so I was a high level blue belt at the lower end of the age bracket. So high end of the belt, low end of the age,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a good weight. And because I put on like 20 pounds, I was just under the 218, 222 with a gi, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is gonna be perfect, So, and then COVID hit, shut everything down. Then I just haven't made time since.
Right. Yeah, man. Oh man, like you said, just staying all day at tournaments, man, it's more draining than the actual fights.
Oh yeah, yeah, and we
Because
just, I mean, dude, we got a busy life with all these kids, so
because I did grappling industries a few months back, and it was my first time doing both gi and no gi. So being a brown belt, being I guess you want to say the upper weight classes. I think I competed at like 230 or something like that.
yeah, so
And
that's unlimited, yeah.
yeah. So it's like, boom, we do our first match at, I think it was like 11 something. And then my next match wasn't until like close to 2 o'clock. So it was just like, oh my goodness, dude. Like, I'm like, I paid the money to compete, but like, Jesus Christ, I'm ready to go home.
Mm-hmm.
But then all that waiting around, and then
Yep.
it's just like, but then like the worst part of it is like you can't necessarily like leave because like your time might say one time, but then you'll blink and it's like your name being called.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, and I think they should have like a 240 or 250 weight limit before they go unlimited. Like
Yeah.
221 and a half. Like that does not seem that big,
No.
to be fighting a 300 pounder. Like, give me a break.
Right. Because when I competed at when I competed, I was about 220, 225 ish, but yeah, everybody else was like 240, 250 and up. So it was like, come on. That's
That's
not fair.
big.
That's
and
not fair.
and all you can hope for is that they're fat, and so
Yeah.
so you can wear them out on some cardio. Like just don't get under them, and you might be okay.
Unfortunately, both tournaments, no, all 3 tournaments I've done, all the guys were like fit.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I'm like, this is so wrong, man. So wrong.
Yeah,
But one of the
even our
guys
in-house tournaments, like I've never really fought a peer.
mhm.
My first in-house, I fought big guys, but they were 20 years younger. We had another in-house. I fought monsters that were 20, 25 years younger. Did another one. I fought a guy. He was smaller, but 10 years younger, but it was only guy that was close. So like I haven't fought a true peer, age, weight, and belt. So I need to do a full, IBJJF tournament to really experience that and see how I do.
That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be
Yeah,
real fun.
yeah, and being a new brown belt, so I'd have my work cut out for me, but I feel like my game's pretty solid.
Gotcha. So training as much as you do, how do you find that balance between like, life, kids, training, work?
Well, fortunately, I own my own business, so I make my own hours, and I usually go at noon.
Okay.
So going at noon, everybody's doing their thing, right? Kids in school and whatever. So So that's fine. And my wife, she's just always been very supportive, whatever I do. And so she understands, like, I love doing it. I've made good friends. So, she hits the gym. She goes to the gym, early in the morning usually, but, she'll go for 2 hours. So, it's our thing. We've always been active. Hell, when we first met, one of our first dates was a hike,
Oh,
so
wow.
we've always been active. So she's cool with it.
Cool. Yeah, I think when I started jiu-jitsu, and my wife, she quickly realized how important this has become to me. So she used to be looking like that too, like, you going back to the gym? Like, yeah. But now she trains now, and my daughter trains now. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's a family thing now.
Yeah, I got my second son started training. He's a purple belt now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he was just finishing up college. He's a realtor, so he makes his own hours. So he usually trains with me at noon. So that's cool.
So that has to be fun rolling with him.
Oh, it is. And, it's just cool seeing his evolution, and I was able to, shorten his learning curve a bit. I was able to pair him up, from day one with the guys I had always trained with. So they took him under their wing, and so that he's very good. So it's been fun watching him. Actually, my professor, I feel like he promoted me early to brown belt. We had a ceremony back in November, and Matthew got his purple. He gave me my brown at that ceremony. So that was cool.
Wow. Yeah, you never feel ready for your next belt. Like, as much as you train, and you put in the hours and work, it just you never feel ready.
Well, on day one, they took this picture down. There used to be a picture. I don't know if it was IBJJF or a Gracie Kamida or what, but it showed kind of like the recommended time for each stripe, each belt.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of it, and I set my goals. I literally made a spreadsheet, and because after a little while, I was like, okay, all the times, those they seemed kind of short, so I doubled all of the times at each level.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a spreadsheet. I've kept a running tally, so I can tell you how many days I've trained. Days since the last promotion, total time training, blah blah blah, and I'd just gotten my 4th stripe on my purple, like 52 days previously. So, I wasn't, and I remember I told my wife, because they'll invite family sometimes, and I said, hey, Matthew could probably get his purple, because he's been progressing much faster than me, and at each level. And I said, there's no way in hell I'm getting a belt. So I just got my stripe. And so just before they called me up, I see my wife and other kids come walking in. I'm like, they're not here to see Matthew. Well, no, maybe I saw all of them, and I was like, they're all here for Matthew. I was like, well, I was so confused. And then he called me up, and I was like, oh, they planned it. I was like, you sneaky bastard.
Got you.
You sneaky bastards. That was cool.
Yeah, because I don't even remember half of purple belt, to be honest with you, because I got my purple belt right after the after shutdown, and next I blinked, and it's like, yeah, you about to get ready for your purple belt. I mean, you about to get ready for your brown belt. I was like, what? I just got used to this one. Like, I gave it a name and everything. Like,
yeah, I love being purple. When being a 4-stripe purple, I don't know, man. I felt like, like in the military, being like a senior NCO. I mean, it's like the senior, and I was an officer, right? But like the senior NCOs, they run the military.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, 4-stripe purple. I felt good. My game was solid. I can hang with anybody. And I'm like, okay, I can stay here a while. because it's like
Yeah.
the last thing I want to do is become a black belt that doesn't know what the hell I'm doing. So I'm like, I'll stay here for a while. So let me see. Yeah, I got my black belt or my purple on December 18th of 2020. So we had opened up. Hell, we opened up kind of in secret. We would go in the back door, and we put paper over the front windows of the school, and we kept that paper up for over a year, even after we were allowed to technically be open. Yeah, I remember getting that. COVID was still a pain in the ass, but yeah, I like being purple.
Yeah, purple was wild, man. Purple was wild because because I remember we had this conversation about me getting my purple belt, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll start studying for it, and then boom, we had the lockdown, and we're like, what are we gonna do? So we were trying to find different means of training, like we were trying to find ways to train with mask on, and that was stupid, but we tried it. And then we had that small little lift on small gatherings, and he was like, you want to test for your belt? I'm like, well, it's been out for half of a year, haven't really been training, but okay. So that September, did my test, and my God, I barely scraped by. I am not afraid to admit it, dude. When after that my purple belt test, I was like, why did I do this? This was the most dumbest thing in the world, but he felt I could do it, so I believed it, and I went out there. It took longer than usual, but I was able to get it done.
That's cool.
And I told myself, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. I'm like, I'm not slowing down training for nothing. So when I did my brown belt, it went so much quicker than my purple.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
Very nice.
Yeah. So Wes, we got a staple here of a question we ask all of our guests. Your top 3 people, man, who would you like to roll with?
Oh man. I think maybe Mikey Muschietti. What's his name?
I know who you talk about. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's super cool. I don't know, maybe like John Danaher, Lex Friedman. I mean, those guys just all seem cool, laid back.
Yeah. It's so funny every time someone mentioned Danaher. I remember this conversation I had with my wife when we was like always talk about how Danaher dresses, just rash guard and fanny pack. that's this is his everyday wear. And I was just telling her like how calm he talks, even when he's aggressive. Yeah. And I showed her the video of there's one of Gordon Ryan's competitions, and you hear like the opponent's like coach just screaming like, yeah, do that, and I was like, babe, listen to this. And I was like, you hear that faint voice in the background? It's low, but you can hear it. I was like, yeah, that's Danaher. That's the loudest his voice gets.
That's funny.
I was like, that's the loudest his voice gets. But yeah, I would love to roll with anybody from his camp.
Yeah. Well, I go to the origin camp in Maine, and so I get to roll with a bunch of guys. Like I've gotten to know like Echo Charles and Jocko and Pete Roberts, and just met a bunch of cool people at the school. So being able to hang out with them a little bit is cool. So, but then others, guys haven't gone. So those are some of the guys that'd be cool to catch up with.
Yeah, sounds like something fun. But yeah, man, if you got any questions for me, man, fire away. If not, I love, if you got anything upcoming for yourself, your school, definitely want you to shout you guys out. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got to hop on a coaching call in a minute, but I'm working on a thing I created called Roll On Kings. And I also own Roll On Queens, but I got to start the Kings first. So kind of a mixture. And I got the idea from going to Origin, and because we're there for 8 days, we train 3 times a day. But in the middle of the sessions, I mean, most people that go are salespeople or entrepreneurs that can afford that much time away. But in the middle of the day, like we're in the cafeteria where the Wi-Fi is good and we're working. So like I want to do some kind of camp / business training. So if people have ideas, please message me. I want to launch that sooner rather than later. But because I see these big camps, I'll go to exotic places and some big names will go, and thousands of dollars. And the reality is, like, 2 or 3 good black belts can teach you all you need to know in a 3-day workshop. You don't need Hoyler Gracie or John Danaher to teach you something new.
Right.
I know. I mean, hell, there's just so much to know. So, is there an appetite for sales training with jiu-jitsu training? So that's something I've been working on.
That sounds cool, man. That sounds like a very cool concept, because I look at those camps and those jiu-jitsu getaways, and it sounds cool, but it's like, man, who can really? I mean, I know I can't afford anything like that right now to go, but yeah, that sounds like a really real cool concept.
Well, and they also do, like, it's this big excursion. Like, when in between training, we're going to go, water skiing, whatever. And it's like, I'll vacation with my family.
Yeah.
When I go to Origin, it's not necessarily a vacation. I'm going to meet cool people. I'm going to get better at my game. But in the middle, I'm working. So, and I know I'm not alone because there's 300 people there, and there's at least 100 in that cafeteria in between sessions. So, 3 days, do some jits, do some work on your business. There's got to be something there. So, if people have ideas, please message me.
Yeah, man, I would love to hear more about that once you get it developed, man. And whatever I can do to help you get that out there, because that sounds like an amazing idea. Amazing idea. Cool, man. Well, that's it, man. I would like to thank my guest Wes one more time for coming on the show and bless us with his stories and tales of jiu-jitsu. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day. All right, my brother.
Long live jiu-jitsu. Nice.
Long live jiu-jitsu.